Spreading his arms like wings. He closed his eyes and felt the cold wind striking through his whole body. He felt the freedom in his heart, while his feet that were on the rooftop made him feel like he was on the top of the world. I'm finally here, after buying the building where I was once treated like a slave. This is freedom, he said after opening his eyes. At one corner, he was enjoying his freedom, but at the other corner, someone, somewhere, wanted to end their life for freedom. As he was enjoying the pleasures of his success, he heard a girl scream from the other side of the roof. There was water tank in between them, so he couldn't see her. But when he went there to check, a girl who was at her worst was standing on the edge of the rooftop, barefooted. Her hairs were flying and legs were shivering. He saw this and was shocked a little. She couldn't see him as she was facing the opposite side of him. Then she screamed, "Why? Why do I have to do this when that person gets to live happily? I will kill you." Her scream was full of pain and suffering. Then she calmed down and had tears in her eyes. As her voice lowered down, she whispered herself, "I don't want to do this. I'm scared, please." Her voice shivered as she said that. Then she closed her eyes and made herself ready to do it. But before, she heard someone from behind saying, "Why would you do it if you don't want to? You yourself don't have the courage to live. How can you blame it on someone else?" She tilted her head a little, but then turned away again. "I don't want to do this in front of anyone. Go from here. I'm the owner of the building. I'm not going anywhere. Rather, it should be you to go away," Jungkook said to her. While trying to stop her tears, she said, "Can't you consider it my last wish and just go?" "Jungkook, I don't know you. Why should I fulfill your last wish?" She let her tears down this time, as she said, "Guess I'm making the right choice. And I still wanted to live in this shitty world. Thanks for making this easier for me. Don't blame me when you have nightmares after seeing this." "Jungkook, don't do this here, huh? I just bought it, but if you do it here, it will be closed because of a crime scene. I don't want that." "Why? What the hell do you want then?" "Jungkook, you." She turned to him when she heard him, and they looked at each other for a few seconds before he spoke again. "You, not doing it here." She found some magic in his eyes when she looked at him. Her heart and mind felt at peace, and her body felt the wind again. Earlier, she couldn't feel anything. She looked in his eyes again and thought to do this while looking in them. She closed her eyes and raised her toes to fall backwards. As she did that, Jungkook ran and held her. She opened her eyes in an instant as she took heavy breaths, looking up at him. "Jungkook, told you not to do it here." "Why? Let go of me. Why are you doing this?" Jungkook, without listening to her anymore, held her tightly and pulled her up with one hand of his. and as she was up enough, he used both of his hands to pull her. He used all of his energy to do that. So when he was done, he fell on his back, with wine upon lying on him. She took some breaths and raised her face immediately from his chest. She looked at him again, and they were lost in each other. They kept looking at each other until Wine finally looked away to get up. As she was getting up, she screamed and fell back on him again, as her hairs were strangled with one of the buttons of his coat. He looked at her again as she tried to free her hairs immediately. Her expressions were full of anxiety and anger, which was the reason she couldn't untie them. He was only looking at her while she got more angry and pulled her hairs out of it forcefully. That button of his shirt broke. His attention immediately went towards it. While she got up from him, his expressions changed in an instant. He got up immediately and went towards her to get that button, which was still stuck in her hairs. He took it out of her hairs and looked at her angrily while he said, "What the hell did you do?" He was getting anxious as he tried to put it there again, knowing it won't stick now. Wine. I was just. I. Is it really expensive? Jungkook. What do you know, huh? It's all because of you. He went away from there with his attention all towards it, not caring about her at all. Wine. He can own a building, but not another coat? She realized she forgot about dying for a minute. She looked there again at the edge, and she was just didn't want to do it. I might think about it a little more, she said and went down the stairs. As she went down 2 to 3 floors, because she wanted to take stairs to calm her mind a bit, she saw Jungkook on one of the stairs, sitting while having the coat on his lap, trying to stick the button, but he could not. She came and sat beside him, trying to take his coat. Jungkook pulled it away from her, for she said, "Do you want it to be fixed or not?" Jungkook stared at her for a few seconds before handing her the coat while saying, "I thought you were trying to do something up there. Didn't go well?" Vine took out the needle from her bag and tore the thread from her shirt, which was flowing down, to stitch it up and said, "I might have changed my mind." Jungkook, you had your bag while trying to kill yourself? Vine, of course. It has the suicide note and my ID card and some evidence against someone, which I don't know will be useful or not. Jungkook, who is he that made you like this? Vine scoffed. Why do you want to know? Jungkook, I'm just curious. Vine, before that, why don't you tell me about this coat? You could just go to a tailor shop and fix it. Why were you so anxious? Jungkook, my mom gifted me that on my 17th birthday after selling her the most precious and loved necklace of gold. I wore this on an important day like today to tell her what I've achieved. I can't bear to lose this coat. Vine smiled while feeling proud. She looked at him and said, "Your mom must be so proud, Jungkook. She isn't here to do that anymore. She is gone," he said while trying to stop his tears. Vine, "I'm really sorry. I didn't know, and I thought you were sensitive about your clothes. I'm sorry." Jungkook looked at her all confused, and he laughed a bit, looking at her. Jungkook, "It's okay. Thank you." "Thank you? For what?" Vine said while still stitching his button. Jungkook, "For fixing the coat." "Oh, this. This is nothing. You saved my life, so this is absolutely nothing," she said, smiling, as if she was happy that he saved her life. Jungkook, "So you didn't really want to die, did you?" She stopped for a second and smiled. She handed him the coat and said, "Look, it's all done. Doesn't it look like a new one?" Jungkook looked at the coat and smiled while taking it. "Yes, it does look good now." Vine, "Don't forget that I did it." "Don't worry, I will never forget you," Jungkook said, looking in her eyes. "What?" Vine asked. Jungkook, "I'll never forget you for doing this for me. I will remember you whenever I look at this coat, just like I remember my mom." Vine, "That's too much. You don't have to remember me that much." Both laughed, looking at each other, for Vine said, "I had a good time with you. Goodbye then." "This is goodbye? I hate goodbyes, God." Jungkook wondered while looking at her. Vine, "Why aren't you saying anything?" Jungkook, "No, I was thinking nothing. Goodbye." She smiled and got up from the stairs to go down. He looked at her from behind, and he knew this is now or never. "Wait," Jungkook said and went towards her immediately, for he said, "I'm a rich man, as you know already. I can do a favor to you if you want. I mean, you fix my coat so I can help you, maybe." Vine smiled and said, "Thanks for asking, but I don't know you will be able to help. I'll figure it out. Don't worry." Jungkook, "I mean, you could try. I can do more than you think." Vine smiled while saying, "You can do more? Like what?" Jungkook, "You said you have evidence." "Well, I have access to the media, the government, and everyone that you might think. Just give me a try, and I'll help you with everything I can." Vine, "Why are you trying so hard to help me?" Jungkook, My mom killed herself too. She thought she was being a burden to me because she was sick and I had to work day and night to get her medicine." Vine stopped for a minute and looked in his eyes. She saw nothing but honesty and pain. Vine, "I had a boyfriend. We used to love each other, or that's what I thought. I didn't know, but he used to take my pictures whenever we had fun, while me being naked." Vine, "I didn't know that until we had an argument and I wanted to break up with him. Now he shows me those pictures and asks me to come back and spend nights with him again. Otherwise, he will. I don't want to go back to him." She started crying loudly, for Jungkook couldn't see it anymore. This was the only thing that came to his mind when he saw her like this. He hugged her tightly and felt the pain she was going through. Why? I can't believe I loved someone like him. Jungkook's eyes gained emptiness, like a void. He wanted to comfort her, but he himself was needed to be comforted at that time. Jungkook, tell me his name and it will be over for him. To be continued.